Under the cover of night, Loki, along with Clint Barton, and other S.H.I.E.L.D. agents that had been put under the control of Loki via the scepter, made their way into Germany, into the city of Stuttgart. The reason for their visit was to steal a special material known as iridium, a stabilizing agent that was needed in order to keep the power of the Tesseract under control and to push Loki's schemes for world conquest into the forefront. However, in order to steal the iridium, they'd have to break into a private facility. One of the leading scientists who ran the facility had special forms of security, among them being a specialized eye scanner. Loki would take the lead in getting the eyeball that was needed for this operation, while Barton and his men would be stationed outside of the laboratory, ready to steal it at a moment's notice. Loki would stroll into the gala that was taking place that night, dressed in proper attire as he made his way through the crowds of people, before eventually finding the said scientist in question. With no effort, he lifted him into the air and threw him onto a stone table, as he took out a specially made device that had an attached camera and a drill, pulling out the eyeball and scanning it for Barton, who would use the receiving end of the camera from his position to break into the laboratories and to steal the iridium. Of course, Loki had multiple layers to this plan, and it wasn't just hinged on receiving the material that was needed, but always wanting to be the showman. Loki followed the horrified people as they ran out into the streets, instantly appearing before them in multiple areas using his illusion magic, adorned in his proper Asgardian armor and helmet. With the scepter in hand, he looked over the people as he yelled at all of them to kneel. Out of fear, the people would begin to do so, as Loki would laud over them and gloat. "Is this not your proper place, where you are meant to belong? You are all burdened with this need of power and conquest. In the end, you were always meant to kneel. Not to you. Not to men like you. There are no men like me," Loki said to the older man in the crowd. "There are always men like you. Look to your elders, people. Let him be an example." As Loki prepared to shoot out a blast of energy and kill the man, instantly a flash of red, white, and blue would appear, a round and familiar shield protecting the man in that moment, as Loki came face to face with the soldier. "You know, the last time I was in Germany, I met a man who was standing over a crowd of people. We ended up not seeing eye to eye. The man out of time. I'm not the one who's out of time, but you are. Now, it's hero time!" Ben would come jumping out of nowhere as Natasha stood in the jet with her guns trained ready to fire on Loki. Ben was looking to transform into Jet Ray, one of his fastest aliens, and looking to end the fight as quick as possible. The plan was already coordinated with Steve. Turn into Jet Ray, swoop in, steal the scepter. Steve would go in for the arrest. However, as you all know, the Omnitrix is never one to do what Ben wants it to do when he needs it the most. He turned into an alien, but Jet Ray unfortunately was not one of them. Instead of turning into his fast, red-winged creature, he turned large, bulky, orange with black stripes, and a feline tail. "Jet Ray! Wait, what the? Raph! Look! Let me tell you something, Omnitrix. You're not going to embarrass me in front of the captain. This is my first chance to work with a pro hero, and you're going to do this to me? Amusing, turning into a kitten. Kitten, let me tell you something. As guardian god from another world, you can call Raph many things. You can say whatever you want about Raph, but you're not going to call Raph a kitten. Because as far as Raph is concerned, Raph is going to take this finger and he's going to shove it up your language. It doesn't matter. Let's bring him in. Using his deceptive skills, Loki would create multiple clones of himself using his illusion magic, with both Steve and Ben attempting to find the real Loki, all while the real Loki would hide amongst his fakes, taking shots at the lot of them. And, if that wasn't worse, multiple of the possessed S.H.I.E.L.D. agents would arrive also, with their guns trained on both Ben and the captain. Of course, that didn't take into account all the innocent civilians that were in the crowd as well, with Ben using his back to shield and protect them, while Steve would have to engage with the possessed agents while attempting to go after Loki as well. Of course, Raph was not the preferred choice in this situation, but being Raph did have its advantages. For one, he was highly durable and, for the most part, bulletproof. The S.H.I.E.L.D. agents weren't able to bring him down by their conventional means, so once they ran out of ammo, he was able to turn the tide on them. And there was one more unique feature that was playing to their advantage: a sense of smell. Cap! To your left! The captain would use his shield to block another attack from Loki as he threw it, this time managing to make a hit. Loki would try to pull that stunt once again, but Raph would keep calling out different directions. The damned beast is able to smell me out. The momentary distraction was all that Cap would need, as he now engaged with the real Loki, all of his fakes being taken out, and his possessed soldiers no longer under his spell. Captain America would engage one-on-one in hand-to-hand combat with Loki, while Ben was helping to get the rest of the civilians out to safety. Even when Loki once again tried to gain the upper hand, from out of nowhere he would be blasted upon with repulsor rays. Natasha would hear a familiar voice through the intercoms. "Hey, Agent Romanoff, you missed me?" Quickly flying in, clad in both gold and red, there stood the invincible Iron Man, holding down Loki, ready to fire everything in the payload if he didn't surrender. "Make a move, Reindeer Games," Iron Man would say. Loki would give in and finally surrender. Smart move. Captain America would arrive to his side, along with Ben, who would finally transform back into his regular state, and to say that he was excited would be an understatement. Ben would introduce himself to Iron Man, who would take note of his work. While being unorthodox, he definitely had the skills in the making of a hero. With that, the group would take Loki into custody, escorting him back to S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier, where they could then go on to locate the Tesseract, hopefully to get a few answers out of him about what he had done to Agent Barton and Dr. Selvig. However, as they were flying through the night sky, storm clouds would begin to form around them. The group would take note that Loki seemed to be rather perturbed by this, with the captain even asking if he was afraid of a little lightning, although Loki would simply respond that he wasn't too overly fond of what followed. Suddenly, the back entrance of the jet would open, with a mysterious figure with hammer in hand would come walking past all of them, knocking them to the side and grabbing Loki by the neck before flying out of the ship. Iron Man would immediately give chase after them, with Ben following not too far behind. He was looking to transform into one of his flying aliens. Hopefully he could get a hold of Jet Ray this time. But as before, he'd only suffer with another malfunction and another switch of the aliens, transforming into something else as he crashed into the forest down below. The individual in question was none other than Thor Odinson, the rightful future king of Asgard, who had come to put an end to Loki's schemes, looking to get a hold of his brother and to see what he had been doing, the mischief he had been causing since the last time they met. Loki, however, would only continue to give Thor the runaround, giving indirect answers and only alluding to the truths that were befalling the world around them, as well as his work with the Tesseract and the power he had gained from the scepter. This supposed king that Loki wished to become, Thor tried to set him on the right path, assuring him that a throne like that would not suit him well, that the best thing he could do was to simply return home, to give up a pointless dream. However, Loki, continuing on in his defiance, would only continue to stall and try his brother's patience. Before Thor could even issue another warning, he would be tackled to the ground by Iron Man, who had now arrived on the scene and wasn't too pleased with Thor and what he interpreted as Shakespeare in the park. This would lead to a confrontation between both Thor and Iron Man, as Ben would soon arrive in his alien form of choice, or rather, the choice of the Omnitrix, as he had transformed into Upgrade. He wasn't really sure what he could do in this state, outside of making a few keen weapons that he could fire at the mysterious assailant, but then that's when he came up with an idea. Looking towards Iron Man, who had been knocked back to the ground by a bolt of lightning, he immediately globbed himself onto the metallic suit of armor, with Iron Man instantly becoming horrified at what was happening to him, as Ben would begin to modify and join with the suit. Even Jarvis was a bit perplexed when he heard the voice of Ben as well as his master. "What the hell? Kid, what's going on? How are you?" I know. I'm interfacing with your systems. I'm really sorry about this, sir, but you're going to need my help on this one. Jarvis, what's the situation? Your suit's being repaired and revitalized. It appears that Mr. Tennyson has transformed into an alien of sorts that acts sort of like a symbiote, a techno-symbiote, if you will. What exactly can it do? You make any weapon you want, I increase it, make it stronger, call in an upgrade, boom, 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 we win. Tony would need to take more of an interest into this particular alien of Ben's, but for now, standing back up in a suit that had changed from red and gold to a sleek dark light black with silver and white and streaming lines of glowing green, with the unibeam now being turned into the symbol of the Omnitrix. With his eyes set aglow, he would set his repulsor rays straight towards Thor, the beams changing from their bright white with a hue of blue to a streamlined green, instantly more impactful and able to contend with the god of thunder himself. The increased strength and speed and durability of the suit had gone tenfold, as now, with the help from Ben's alien upgrade, Iron Man was able to engage in combat with Thor, who was able to tank more and more of the hits from the streaks of lightning, even being able to stand back up after colliding with Mjolnir. As the fight would continue to culminate within the forest, they would all be stopped as Captain America's shield would hit at the both of them, calling for a ceasefire immediately. He would then ask for Thor to prove his allegiance by putting down the hammer, although both Ben and Tony would attest to this, as he was rather fond of the hammer, only for them to be backhanded as Thor would jump into the air attempting to strike down at Steve. Although thankfully the power of the vibranium shield was able to hold up, sending out a powerful seismic blast from the exchange between the hammer and the shield, managing to protect Steve and even managing to knock back Thor a bit. With all three heroes now standing across from one another, Cap would simply shake his head, rolling his eyes as Ben would finally glob off of Tony before transforming back into his human form. With a quick call to Natasha, she would swing back around and pick up the group, now with another new otherworldly friend along for the ride. as they made their way back to the helicarrier. This concludes Ben 10 Ultimate Heroes. What If Ben 10 was in the MCU, Season 1, Part 2. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that's to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned tomorrow morning as we'll continue with Ben 10 Ultimate Heroes. What If Ben 10 was in the MCU, Season 1, Part 3. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings, signing off, and I'll see you next time.